The humans is Random Visage and welcome to the Random Channel. Today we're going to be playing Medieval Fantasy Rogue's Choice Chapter 15, A Higher Power. We finished this chapter already. We are here for the best choices of this chapter and let's get it. So unlike what I decided, wait for Rekka is a better choice. So let's wait for Rekka. Let's see what that does. Find a hiding spot between two stumps and tall grass near the beach and wait. In the distance away from the river, you hear occasional shouts and faint clopping of horses. The road must not be far. Still exhausted from your adventures, it's not long before you nod off to sleep. The moon is high in the sky when you're awakened to the sound of voices. You peek up, see two cloaked figures. You assume they're women based on their curves and height. They're staring at the sand near where you had buried most of your treasure. One is pointing at the sand as if tracking your footprints. Indeed, they both follow your footprints up to the edge of the grass. A pair of horses stand nearby, munching idly on grass. One of them stands to their full height. It was him, I can feel it. He must have taken the road, says the other in a cold voice. He has had time to travel, says the first. How long since she left him here asleep? More than a glass, maybe two, says the second. Likely he took the road. That it could have been any direction. The woman lowers her cowl. The cool moonlight illuminates her shaved head and reflects dully on piercings in her face. Priestess of Thog, you realize. Oblivion grows ever more impatient for vengeance. Yet we must return. The gods ravage the city. We shall stand for our lord. And face the unspeakable, says the one with her head bared. I shall summon a seeker and then we shall return. What's a seeker? Says the hooded one. Oh, that's a running problem. If it's like going to seek out right now, you're right behind her. So let's see. The hooded priestess commences chanting and waving her hands as the other stands guard watchful. Dare not move, as they're only 15 meters or so away. Did Rekka betray me, you wonder? You suppose you couldn't blame her if she did. Helping you was putting her entire race at risk. Minutes later, a hole of pure darkness, perhaps twice the thickness of a man, opens up in the night. Out of this hole slides a tentacled beast with shining red eyes. Find him, commands the priest. You know the one. The creature is silent as it slithers up the beach, moving in halting bursts. The priestess jog to their horses, mount them swiftly. Soon they are galloping away and disappear behind the hills and stumps of the clear-cut land. What? And disappear behind the hills and stumps of this clear-cut land. You turn your attention to the beast they summoned. The creature is in the grass, obviously trying to track you. If it continues to follow your trail, it's going to soon be sniffing under a large tree root that you had considered earlier as a hiding spot. Of course, you don't want to know what it will do when it finds you. You have a feeling that simply running won't help. No doubt this thing will eventually track you down. There is no point putting it off. You'd rather face this thing now while you have the upper hand than later when the roles are reversed. A couple of options come to you. You could try to creep up on this thing, shoot it with your bow, perhaps close on it, and you can wait for it to try and set up an ambush. What do? This is funny that this is like a completely separate, these are choices like in between choices. This is like we went for the Fortress Igraine, and in that sense we kind of missed out on this opportunity, and now we get to observe this opportunity, which is pretty cool. The best option here is creep up with your bow, so let's do that. As soon as you see the monster's eyes disappear behind a hillock of grass, you creep forward, laying low. As you move, you do your best to keep your footsteps within the natural sand pathways that innervate the grass near the beach. This makes for silent movement. Soon you spot movement in the tall grass ahead. The creature is sliding onto the tree hollow that you tried on for size. Is it tracking smell? Is it tracking exactly? I don't think I have mana, so it's definitely not tracking that. This is about as good as you can hope. You have your bow at the ready with an arrow notched. You draw back and aim. The red glowing eyes appear as it emerges from the hollow. Release the string. Your arrow flies true. There's a terrible squeal as the thing thrashes, the arrow shaft swinging wildly. Draw your sword and charge. Morale increases 2, life decreases 2. As you close in on the writhing monsters, your blade bursts into white fire. You swing, cutting deep into the beast as steam rises with a hiss. Tentacles lashes out, slamming you in the side, knocking the wind from you. You scramble to your feet as the other flings onto its tentacles, as the thing flings onto its tentacles and slithers towards you. The arrow shaft sticking straight up from its loathsome body like a flag. You swing again, this time cutting it in half with your holy flaming sword. The burst of nauseous smoke bursts up as the thing dissolves in an instant. You throw yourself back, coughing. By the time you recover, there's nothing but an oily patch of grass where the monster had been. I was initially thinking a little while back that they were not Thog's minion. I would pretty much soon guess that they were. They were priestesses, but I thought they were like, at first I thought they were like thieves trying to steal what I buried, but it seems they were not. Moving on. Gods, I'm getting good at this. You whisper. You briefly imagine a career as a highly sought-after monster bounty hunter before you let your mind wander too far. You realize this is not the time to pat yourself on the back. Time to get out of here, you think. Thog may now be aware that you killed yet another one of his minions. You do not want to hang about to find out what he plans to do about it. You run for the road. As expected, the road is not far from the river. Yeah, I think we read all this, didn't we? 2 men and a woman. Kyala, what's the news? You have to steal a... Yeah, I think this is the same. Soon you see a man riding. Okay, this is the same. This was an awkward one. You have to go for stop in the name of Aletheia. It's kind of cringe, but I guess most people follow Aletheia, so I guess this makes sense. Stop in the name of Aletheia. You shout out as you step forward, pulling your symbol of Aletheia out of your tunic, holding it in the moonlight. The man looks over but gallops on. However, the wide-eyed woman driving the wagon yells at her horses and pulls up on the reins. Emmeline, go. I told you not to stop for anything. The man shouts as he wheels his mount around. He points his rapier at the woman. Wow, why is he pointing his weapon at his woman? That's kind of fucked up. Although it appears more of an accusation than... Oh, he's like pointing, like, like if I was in a kitchen and I had a knife in my hand, I was just pointing like, there's the fucking thing that you need to pick up. It's kind of like that. I guess I thought more of like a hostile stance. I was like, dude, calm the fuck down. I know you're sort of sexist for these times, but this is getting a bit too far. We're getting into misogyny territory. Where are we? He's a holy man, says the woman you presume is Emmeline. I am, you announce, puffing up your chest, and Aletheia smiles down upon Emmeline. Oh, we already read this, didn't we? I go by the name Rooster of Windborn. Rooster, says the man brandishing his rapier. Perhaps I should have used a different name, you think. Truth be told, Rooster is growing on you. It was the natural name to give. Rooster is a holy bird. Everyone knows. The color and the... Yeah, I think we already read this. Okay, so after that, everything was the absolute same. We just went through like 6 pages of text and they were absolutely same. There's nothing different about it. And after this, this is where we met the imp who was trying to steal our sword, which he didn't for some reason after getting a successful hit off of us, but okay. So we said looking for someone. I don't know how he knew about the rat. I still don't understand that, but the best option here would be to say looking for a deer. Being on the other side of the river with a bow slung on your back, hunting seems like a good lie. Hunting for deer, you say, reaching back and tapping your bow. No deer here anymore, he says, opening a big smile of fangs. We eats them. We, eh? You say with a friendly smile. Where are your friends? He scrambles up the rock, sets down his sack, looks off along the river. He may as well be pointing to where the rest of them are. He turns back to you. No deer, go back to road, he shouts, picking up his sack and brandishing it at you as though it were a weapon. I'll leave and then follow him, you think. Well, if there's no deer, then I might as well leave, you say. Know of any good hunting grounds nearby? No, he shouts. But then his eyes focus on the hilt of his sword. Magic? Oh, right, he is trying to take our sword at this point, which he didn't. Again, no idea why. Give me swords, I'll give you back, this and that. Yeah, this is absolutely the same. Wait, something's different here. Yeah, we were talking about the rat. I don't know how I still don't know how he knows about the rat. Elf, he says. What? You say incredulously. No, I said she was human. He pulls his claw out from behind his back and blows grey powder like ash into the air at you. You dive to the side, avoiding the cloud of dust. You swing your sword, slamming the flat of your blade against the back of his legs. You expected your blow to knock him down, but the beast is tougher than you expected. He nearly crumples, but his wings flap hard and keep him up. He flies up to the top of the rocks, picking up his sack and starts running. You run after him. Soon you are gaining on him as you scramble over the rocky ground. dodging between boulders and thorny shrubs. The beast looks back at you over his shoulder, lets out a yelp, then he takes to the sky, rising quickly out of your reach. You stop, unsling your bow, notch an arrow, and fire. By this time, the creature is some 50 meters at least. Your arrow narrowly misses, yelps again, and dives, picking up speed, strafes along the ground, extending his lead on you. It's no use. There's no point to trying to catch him. You don't want to waste any arrows. After this should be the same. You follow after him as quickly as you can. At least want to follow him without him realizing it. Fortunately, his long nose allows you to see. Yeah, it's pretty much the same after this. Okay. This is an absurd one. I went with the best choice that normal people would go for, but apparently you can go talk to her, so let's go do that, I suppose. Hello, you shout with a big smile as you approach the imp's hiding spot. You keep your hands up in what you hope is a clear sign of peace. The imp flinches and scrambles to her feet, her mouth open slightly. Who you? She asks as you get closer. I'm just a man out for a walk, exploring this fine land, you say, which you figure is essentially the truth. She tilts her head at you suspiciously. Now you notice that she's clutching a fist-sized rock in one of her oversized claws. Her eyes dart to the hilt of your sword. What do you want? She says. What do you say? And the best choice in this option is to share my food and talk. To share my food and talk, you say with a smile, nodding at her large belly. You look like the sort that enjoys a good meal. From your experience, that's about the worst thing you can say to a human woman. But you look like the sort that enjoys a good meal. That is so true. That's so good. From your experience, that's about the worst thing you can say to a human. From your experience, that means he tried saying this to a human woman. That's about the worst thing you can say to a human woman. But this creature does not take offense. Indeed, her ears swivel forward as though not really interested. Slowly, you open your pouch and show her you like pork. Her eyes widen. What that? What is it? You say as you pull a strip from the bundle and take a bite. It's the best thing ever, you say with your mouth full. She licks her lips and stares at the strip in your hand greedily. Try some. You pull off another strip and throw it at her. She catches it deftly and touches her tongue to it. Her eyes bulge at it, and then she takes a bite. She chews a few times, smacking her lips loudly with copious amounts of saliva. She pops the rest of the strip into her mouth, chews and swallows. Good, he says. Told you. You say as you sit down on the rock, doing your best to seem casual and non-threatening. The two of you settle in to share a lunch. You're careful to ration the food, throwing strips one by one, otherwise she would eat it all nearly instantly. You don't share your ale though, you don't want her lips on your flask. Meanwhile, you ask her questions about what she is doing, but her answers are vague. You do confirm that there's some sort of shield wall that is guarding, although the purpose of this wall is unclear. Your attention is pulled up the hill behind you as another imp is running with a sack in his hand, slipping on the scrabble in his haste, saving his balance with the flapper's wings. As this newcomer approaches the rock pillar, the female leaps up and shouts something in her gravely language. The other imp shouts something back and gives you a wry look. He runs past, flies up onto the rock pillar and leaps off the other side and disappearing. A portal through the wall, you wonder. The female mutters something and licks her sticky fingers. Oh, I forgot that. I have business in there, you say, pointing at where the limp has disappeared. The female squints at you. Here, you say, pulling most of your remaining strips out of your bag and throwing them at her. Quickly, she gets to pick up the scattered strips. You run to the pillar, leap onto the face. There are plenty of cracks and small ledges. So climbing it is as easy. You look back at the imp who has her cheeks full of pork. Wave goodbye to her, but she doesn't notice. As you leap off this tall slab of stone, you realize the imps are okay. So this is the thing. As I said, wait and watch was the best option in my eyes. And I think everyone should have done that. Every normal person. This talking option does give you more morale. So from a point perspective is better. But at the same time, we essentially give her all our food. I don't know if we have any left. Even if we do, like, we just lost food. In the other option, we just don't get one morale. And that's all there is to it. And we don't lose out on food. But it is what it is. So let's move on. I mean, as you should know at this point, but that these mini choices don't really make sense. It doesn't really matter in the long run. So it's fine. This was the correct option. Hide under the tower. This was the correct option. Despite the fact that I did not think this was the correct option. I'm looking for someone. This was the correct option. The sooner you aid me, the sooner I'll leave. You can also go for it hurts my feeling to be treated worse than a beaver, which will also give you the same amount of morale, which will also give you an achievement, the whiner. Actually, let's check that out. Let's see what that is. Whiner. The haters call it pathetic whining. You call it strategy. It hurts my feeling to be treated worse than a beaver, you say, looking down dejectedly. For no reason other than I was unfortunate to be born human. You force your lower lip to tremble. Vanille, how the hell did I do that? Are we doing the TikTok thing? Or they just like suck their lower lip in to show that they are crying? That would be hilarious. Was her lower lip to tremble. Vanilla tilts her head, clearly surprised. Certainly that was the last reaction she expected. We heard Rooster's feeling, squeaks the smallest one, Nipper. Simply because I appear so manly and virile, you think my heart is wrought of iron, you will? No, we did not mean harm, says Vanilla, reaching out, placing her hand gently on your wrist. Just tell me if you have seen my human woman with the rat, and I'll be on my way, you say, putting your hands over your eyes as though hiding your grief. Yes, I have seen her, says Nippa, both excited and eager. She came here and went upstairs. She points down the path. Anything else? You say, sniffing. I'm so distraught without her. I fear I shall panic and not find her in this big tower. Oh, right. Right. And after that, that's the same thing. Okay, I'm just gonna go back because I prefer the one that I went with. This is kind of funny, but I think I'm gonna take the serious route. Not that these choices matter in the long run, but I feel like just in case they have like a secret archive or something where they keep every choice, and that's going to somehow in the grand scale of things affect your last ending or something. Highly doubt that's the case, but that could be the case. So just in case, the sooner you aid me, the sooner I'll leave. I'll go with that. So the other option is funny, not gonna lie. So this was not a side pathway as I had imagined. This was the correct choice. Follows fellow Egra's voice. The other pathway is just death. I don't know what's up there, but it's death. So let's follow Egra's voice again. This was the correct option, a kiss. And this was surprisingly the correct option to try to talk to Egra. And it's the same thing after that, and we have gotten the best one, 510. And we got the fearless, cunning, and lovable rogue. And that's it for the best choices of this chapter. There's a link in the description to the game. There's also a link to the walkthrough that I'm reading off of, and you can go check that out if you're just going to play it yourself and not watch my stuff. I don't know why would you do that, but still, just in case. There's also a link to my Twitter and my Patreon. Go check that stuff out. Play hentai games over on my Patreon. And yeah, like and subscribe and leave a comment. I like to read those. I like to talk to the peeps. And bye-bye. And see you in the next one, which is chapter 16.